Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. I am Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. If you're watching the replay, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you stopping by. I hope I can teach you a little something new tonight or show you a little technique or a tip that you might use in your own paper crafting. Or maybe just get you interested in paper crafting to begin with, because it's a great hobby. So, I am live here every Monday night on my Facebook channel at 7 p.m. Central Time. So set your watches and your calendars and tune in every week. I'd love to see you come back. Tonight I have a twofer for you. I am making both of our cards from Friday Night Stamping. So if you are new here, Friday Night Stamping is a little fun, friendly competition that my husband and I do. So every Friday night we come down to the studio, we each make a card. I post them here on the Facebook page for your votes, and you all vote for your favorites. And then on Monday morning, I post who made the winning card. And this week, it was my husband, the Stamper Man Russ, with his really cool gatefold card. He was the overall astounding winner, like by a landslide. So, but both of our cards used the same designer paper, so I thought I would just go ahead and show you how to make both of them tonight. So a little twofer for you. So let's go ahead and I'm going to flip the camera down here. There we go. Okay, and first I want to talk a little bit about the paper that we are using. It is called Favored Flowers, and it is it's a free option during celebration, and I'll explain that in just a moment, but I want to show you the gorgeous papers. So it's all these lovely flowers. They come in tones of like coral and pink, or blackberry and freesia, so the purpley tones. So we've got this gorgeous one. On the other side, you've got just a great grid pattern. You've got those purple tones and a nice purple geometric. There you go. Sorry, it's a little, a little crazy. Hey, Betty, glad you made it. This one of my favorites. I really love the black background. It's very striking. It's very dramatic. So, and the purple tones again. And then you've got this cool kind of green tone on tone geometric pattern on the back, which is super cool. And quite frankly, I did not highlight enough in this week's cards. And then we've got a mixture of all of the colors that we've got going on here. And then a nice pink geometric pattern on the back. Some more mixture of all the colors, but with a lot of black. And then this freesia honeycomb pattern that my cousin Eric seemed to really like. More corals and pinks. And then a nice calypso floral. Trying to get it so there we go. I just need to stand still. So a nice geometric pattern on the back. And it's one of the things I love. It seems to be most of our papers these days that, you know, one side might be completely themed to whatever the pack is. This one is floral, obviously. But the other side tends to be more geometric or something a little more neutral so that you can use it really for any occasion. And I absolutely love that Stampin' Up! Is doing that. We just have some of the best papers in the industry, let me tell you. So here are all of the colors that are in this pack of paper. So you've got your basic black, we've got Blackberry Bliss, we've got the Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, Mossy Meadow, and Petal Pink. And this reminds me of one convention I was at where I think it was right after one of the color refreshes. So we had some new colors, we had some returning favorites and things like that. So things were kind of new, and they had some staff members walking around with just like a swatch of cardstock like this. And they're like, what color is this? And, you know, you're all like, oh, is that mint macaron or is that pool party? I can't tell, you know, you can't tell sometimes when it's not against another color to really see the difference there. So that was a fun little game. And it also tested our knowledge of the names of all the colors, which was pretty funny. So I have been trying to keep it a little more generic sometimes here on Facebook and over on Instagram. But you know, I'm Stamper Nan on Instagram as well. So you can find me pretty much everywhere. And I've been trying to keep it a little generic with like corals and pinks because obviously not everybody talks in Stampin' Up! Colors. So thanks, Penny. I know the swatches, I did that last week and I thought, oh, that's such a nice way to show you guys like what you're dealing with instead of just telling you the names of the colors. Because as I said, not everybody talks in Stampin' Up! Colors, which reminds me of another little funny. Years ago, before the Stamper Man was a Stamper Man, he was just a wonderfully supportive husband, but he didn't really stamp so much. And I was going someplace and he says, can you pick me up some brown pants? And told me what size. And I'm like, well, like what color? Like chocolate chip or creamy caramel? Because these are the old colors. And he just looks at me, he goes, brown. So I try to be a little more generic for you people now that don't talk in Stampin' Up! Colors. Okay, so a little bit about Celebration, which is where this pack of paper comes from. The fabulous, fabulous Celebration, which people that know Stampin' Up! Wait for this promotion all year. And this year, there's only one of them. The last few years, they've done two, but this year they're only doing it this month and next month. So to the end of February, that's it. And there's three ways you can participate and get the most value out of this promotion. One is you can just shop, and the shopping link for my online store is right in the description, so you can just click on that link when you're done watching the video, of course. And when you purchase $50, for every $50 you purchase before shipping and tax, you get to pick out a free Celebration item. So this pack of paper, you order $50 worth of, you know, maybe a stamp set, maybe some ink, maybe some white cardstock, whatever you need, and you can get this pack of paper free. So that's a pretty awesome deal. There are a couple of offerings that are $100 items. That's this Beautifully Happy stamp set is one of them. So for $100 order, you can pick that free. Or the Dandy Designs paper that we used last week, that is also a $100 offering because that pack of paper is 48 sheets of 12 by 12 paper. So it's a lot of paper. It's a big pack. It's amazing. So that's Celebration, the shopping option. The next option you have is hosting. So whether you have people over at your house, whether you do an online party on Facebook or over Zoom or whatever, or if you just decide to put in a really nice personal order for yourself and stock your craft stash. If you have a $300 order or group of orders go in, you get this host set free on top of all the other freebies you get for having a qualifying order. So anytime you reach 150 in either your personal order or a group of orders, you get to get what we call Stampin' Rewards. So you get freebies. And so if you hit 300 during Celebration, you also get that stamp set on top of it. And the last one, okay, this is seriously like the biggest one I've seen like ever, this join opportunity. So the last way that you can like really kick up the value during Celebration is to join my team of steampunk stampers, like Penny. Penny is one of my team members. And we have three options for you this time. And again, this is right now through February 28th is the cutoff. The first two options, you get the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But if you notice, this little guy here is not white. This is boho blue, which is a sneak peek of one of our new in colors that we won't actually see till May. So that's pretty cool. So we know one of them already. But we do have the option where you can get $175 worth of products plus the mini cut and emboss machine, and you only pay $129 plus tax, free shipping. Yeah, guys, it's like, I think it's like a 45% savings or something like that. I figured it out last night. The other option is you can get the standard white mini cut and emboss machine, with the $175 in products. The mini cut and emboss, by the way, is $63 retail. So it's over $200, like $238 worth of product you get for 129 bucks. Not too shabby. The last deal is the standard kit price, which is $99. You still get to pick out $175 worth of stuff. So that's still, I think, 40 some percent off. It's like, I wish I had printed that darn thing because I figured it out just for y'all. I'll have to post that so you know what you're getting. But really, really good deals. And the best part about that is you never have to hold a party, do a demonstration, go on Facebook Live if you don't want. You certainly can. So I have all sorts of team members. I have what we call discount divas that just purchase for themselves at their discount. I have kind of short timers where they just got the good deal and they went, okay, now I'm done. And then they just go back to being a happy customer. And then I have business builders where they're like, yep, I'm coming in, I'm getting my discount, but I also think I might want to teach a class, or I might want to do some fundraising for my favorite charity, things like that. So they use their demonstratorship however they see fit. And I take them all and I work with you all on whatever level you'd like. So if you want more information, just shoot me a message and we can get to chatting and see where that leads. If you're ready to hop on and join, I did put a join link in the description as well. So you can certainly click that and just get started. It's awesome. I wouldn't be here 20 years later if it wasn't. Okay, so let's get started with this card, my loser card, which is fine. As soon as I saw his card, I went, well, that's that. You're going to win that one. And I was right. But quite a few of you picked mine as well. And most of you actually said, I think most of you felt this way, but most of you actually said that you loved them both. So I'm never hurt feelings, just so you know, I'm just joking. Okay, I'm not going to run through the supply list. I'm just going to get to it because we've got 2 cards to make tonight. So, and I did some of the stuff ahead of time, but there is links to both of the supply lists in the description for the birthday, which is this one, and for the, I don't remember if I called it the love card or the coral card or whatever, but you'll see them both. So both the links are there. You can check out all the supplies and the measurements right there. Okay, so I have a Fresh Freesia card base, which is that hamburger fold I was telling you about. So I cut it in half at the 5.5 mark and scored it at 4 1/4. The other one got cut the other way. It's the bun fold. Okay, bun fold. Thank you, Penny. I couldn't remember what I called it in my, sleep-deprived haze, probably. Okay, we do have a white piece for the inside, and I've got a little strip of the designer paper to go on the inside to decorate that. So I will go ahead and I like to do the liquid glue on these little strips because that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So I can pop it down and I can turn it over if I want and get that just right even. I can kind of push it till it's right. It is hanging over just a tiny little bit. Perhaps nobody would notice, but I would. So I'm just going to trim that. Yes, I am a little bit persnickety sometimes. Okay, so let's get that out of the way because you guys know that's my favorite thing. And usually when I'm doing that little strip, I just kind of cut my big piece, about 3/4 of an inch longer than I need it. And then I'll just cut that off and put it on the inside. Look at that. It's gorgeous, the match on that. I love the color coordination. Okay, so then the front one is going to go on the same size of the white. And I've got a piece here of the designer paper, and I will tell you the measurement here. It is 5 inches by 3 3/8 inch. And the reason for that is I'm going to cut this into strips of 1 1/8 inch each. So 3 3/8 inch. So, and I love our trimmer for one of the reasons I love it is because it's got these measurements on the right side as well as the left. So usually when I'm cutting a little strip like this, I'll go and measure it on this side of the ruler. So 1 1/8. Pop that one off. And then again, 1 1/8. And you can see it's going to be 1 1/8 on this side. Whammo blammo. We're done. Okay. And then I'm just going to flip that middle one over. Now, when you're applying, adhering things like this, what you normally want to do, I used to always start with the middle one, and I would get all like, okay, put it in the middle of the grid paper and try to, so silly. Somebody finally showed me that, no, you just do the outside two first. So the outside two are going to stay with the floral side out. So again, a little bit of liquid glue because then I got some wiggle room. And I'm going to put this, I think, about 1/4 inch away. I think that's what I did. And then just center it top to bottom. It won't be 1/4 inch away from there. Okay, that one's there. Now, the next floral. So when you do it this way, then you just have to center that middle one in between the two. And then you know you're going to have basically about the same amount. You're human. You are not a machine. It's not going to be exactly. That's fine. So we're flipping that one over. You obviously could just do this way and have that little bit of separation. I kind of liked to see both sides of the paper. So if this is one of those, you're dealing with a paper where you can't decide, I don't know which side to use, they're both pretty, this is a great layout for you. Okay, so we've got that done. Now I've got a little linen thread because I wanted kind of a little something, but I didn't want a big fat bow and I didn't have quite the right color ribbon. So I just thought, oh, some linen thread is nice. And literally what I did was I wrapped it around about 4 times because linen thread is pretty thin. So if you just wrap it around once, it doesn't make a really big impact. So, and 4. And then I'm going to tie it off. And I am going to tie a bow with this. If I can figure out which side is on there. And I'm going to use my handy dandy tweezers from my embossing kit. I absolutely love these. So it's going to hold that down there. So you never again have to worry about nobody being home to put their finger down when you're trying to tie a bow. Just have your tweezers hold it for you. And you just pop those around, pull your tweezers out, pull it tight, and then you can just adjust your bunny ears. Make them however big or small you want. And then I'll trim those ends because I want them to be pretty short. So I don't want them to bother my greeting at all. So I did use the die cut machines on both of these cards, but I die cut everything ahead of time so you didn't have to worry about that because, as I said, we got 2 cards going tonight, so I did some pre-work for you. So I did stamp our greeting, but I did not stamp our flower yet because I wanted to show you exactly how I did that. Let's go ahead and attach, there we go. Attach this guy first. If your linen thread moves around at all on you, like if you didn't get it snug enough, you can go ahead and put like a piece of Scotch tape or a piece of Terran tape right over the back of it, and that'll hold that in place too. So another little tip for you. Because on my one from Friday, I did not tie it as tightly, and it was moving around on me. So I just popped a little Scotch tape on the back, and we were all good to go. Okay, so now this flower that I did here, I did with 1 ink pad, just the Fresh Freesia, but I got 2 different tones off of it. Well, let me show you how I did that. It's a pretty simple trick. If you've been around the Stampin' Block a couple times, Stampin' Block, sorry. Don't unfollow me. You've seen this trick. It's generation stamping or stamping off. People call it different things. So I've got my art gallery stamp set here, and I'm going to use these 2 stamps. And I didn't want anything too dark because I wanted the happy birthday to really stick out more. So I went ahead and inked up the solid stamp in our fresh freesia. Then I stamped it off on our grid paper, scratch paper, whatever you've got. And then I went ahead and stamped it down on the die. And so you have that's called a second generation or stamped off. So it's a little lighter. Go ahead and clean this off with my chamois. We'll switch that out for the more detailed stamp. Okay, we're going to ink this one up in that same fresh freesia, but we're going to come down full strength on this. Now I have to figure out, there we go. I do love my photopolymer stamps because they're see-through. And so now 1 stamp pad, 2 different colors. Make your products work for you. Don't spend more than you have to. Don't feel guilty because you have to have all the colors. You don't. You have twice as many colors as you thought you did. So you can just acquire them over time. That is what I did, actually. Many years ago, when I was still on a much smaller budget for stamping, I went ahead and started doing a technique class. And what every month we would have different color that I would highlight. So every month I would buy like the marker and the stamp pad and the refill and the cardstock of that color. So it was a nice way to kind of build my color palette over many months. Isn't that a cute little trick, Penny? I love that little trick too. And I do forget about it, but man, it's just, and you can stamp, like, especially for the darker colors, you can stamp 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes 5 times and still get, you know, generational stamping that you can see. So definitely play around with it. So I just put that on with some dimensionals to straddle the linen thread. And now we'll put a few rhinestones on there because I needed some bling. Because, right? Dimensionals, rhinestones, it's kind of my thing. And boom, that is how easy that card is. Super, super sweet, very easy, very quick, pretty inexpensive. Okay, let's get to this little fun fold here that the Stamper Man pulled out. Like, he literally just made up this fun fold. I mean, I'm sure he's seen things like this, but he just kind of figured out the measurements on his own. So I was like, oh, okay, sure, why not? I did stamping ahead of time. I did die cutting ahead of time. So we've got a lot done. The Calypso Coral pad was the only pad we used on this one too. So again, pretty inexpensive. You know, not super heavy on the supplies. I can't talk tonight, you guys. See, this is what happens when I don't follow my regular routine of here's what we're using, here's the measurements, not just winging it. That's okay. That's what we do on Friday nights. So he used the Forever Fern stamp set, and only because he saw this greeting, which I do love, so sweet. I do love the fonts in this stamp set as well, and the leaves are gorgeous. So really, really good one. If you don't have it, highly recommend it. So, but like I said, I already did the stamping ahead of time. So for this one, we've got that hot dog fold I told you about, right? Well, it's not really the fold, it's the cutting though. So we've cut that 11 by 4 1/4. Okay, so we just cut it at 4 1/4 the long way. And then I've already pre-scored it. And so I scored it at 2 1/8 and 7 5/8. All right, so we're going to go ahead and give those a good burnish with our bone folder. So very funny story. I have a bone folder in my purse because don't we all, right? Just to use at work, because sometimes you have to fold a lot of papers. So I was having to fold a lot of papers recently, and Somebody came down the hall and they were like, who's playing ping pong? Because it was just this very rhythmic chick, 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 chick. So there is your gatefold card. So you could do this with literally anything, however, much you wanted it to go. And what I recommend, if you're trying to figure out measurements for your own kind of fold, or you see something online and you're like, I want to recreate that and just get it close, just take some copy paper or some scrap paper or something and cut it to the dimensions you need. So this would have been, 11 by 4 1/4. And then just get to folding until you've got it where you want it. Mark that with a Sharpie and then measure it out and see what it is. Write it all on your scrap paper so you have it for a template. Much easier to do than ruin a piece of cardstock, right? So we've got 2 pieces of this more coral toned floral. They are both 4 inches tall. One of them is 1 7/8. The other is 3 1/8. So we will go ahead and attach those. I keep losing my adhesive because instead of putting it back, I just have been leaving it out because I'm going to be using it and using it, right? So, all righty. So I will be featuring this paper all this week on Facebook and over on Instagram. Same projects, so you can just follow me one or the other or both because you just can't get enough of me. I know, I'm irresistible. Feeling a little sassy tonight. So we're just making these little panels, and basically anytime you're trying to look at, I want a piece to go in there, you want to shrink this measurement 1/4 inch on each side, and then you'll have an 1/8 inch border all the way around. So once you have your main border, you just keep chunking it down, either 1/4 inch or maybe an 1/8 of an inch if you want a really skinny border, but that's generally the rule. Okay, so now I want to show you a couple of cool things. I already stamped our greeting and I cut it out. I die cut it with these stitched rectangles, but I did put in the supply and measurement link will tell you the size of this. So if you just wanted to do it with a trimmer into a rectangle, you could do that. So, okay. But for the green piece here, and for the white inside, you'll notice we used our very best trio punch, which is awesome. But I wanted to show you that again because there is a little bit of a trick to getting this symmetrical so that you're not, hey, Joan, you've made it. Good morning. I know I always have to catch you guys in my afternoons, like on replay, because there's no way I'm waking it up at like 3 a.m. to catch you all in Australia. So, okay, so with it'll be easier to see on the white one. So you'll notice that this punch does kind of a little curved, and then it does a curve out. So you want that to be symmetrical, so you don't want that curve out up here on this side. You want them to be the same, right? So you'll see on the punch that it will show you where that curve, like rounded curve, and then the kind of pointed curve out is. I don't know what the words are to say about those, but anyway, so I'm going to leave my rounded curve up top, so I always know that that's the up top one. Okay, so we're going to punch this one, and then if you turn it completely around and punch the opposite corner, you'll be just fine. But then you want to flip the cardstock over, put it in, and then turn it around and do that opposite corner again. And now, see, you'll have that rounded up and down, and the pointeds go to side to side. So we'll do that once more because it's the same thing for the inside. So we have our white piece. We've got it face up, we'll say, side A. So we're going to do one corner. We're going to do the opposite corner. Then we're going to flip it over to side B and do one corner, turn, opposite corner. And there you go. You've got rounded top and bottom, and the out points, the straight sides, side to side. So that's your big tip for this punch. Obviously, when you do the corner punch, It's no big deal. It's the same angle on everything, so you can just flip, 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 whatever way you want, and it'll work. But that one is just that little trick for you. All righty. So let us put this guy in the middle. And I think that's kind of funny. This is how he decorated the inside of his card this time, was punching it instead of adding any stamped images or any cards or papers or anything. All righty. So this inside works out to be still the 5.5 by 4.25, just like the other card is, right? So I will show you. See, so that other card fits right in there. So it's the same as a regular card. It's just got a gatefold to it. Joan, I'm glad you learned something. That's my goal every time. Okay, so we've got our green piece. We've got our little stamped layer. Oops, that one goes on dimensionals because y'all know it wouldn't be one of our cards if it wasn't on dimensionals. So the white one is getting popped up. There we go. Now, similar to last week with my fun fold last week, you obviously don't want to put adhesive all the way on the back of this because if you do, you won't be able to open your card. So you have to be careful to only put adhesive on this left side. So once again, I'm going to kind of center that up where I want it, and then I'll know that this is the side I want to put adhesive on. And I think just 3 strips of it ought to do just fine. And I can flip that over, place it down. We'll put a few champagne rhinestones on it because my husband likes champagne. I do not. I am not a beer or wine or champagne drinker. Okay. And then we did not have any mossy meadow, right? Wow. Seriously, you guys. See, the problem is we used to have a color called mellow moss. And so whenever I try to say mossy meadow, I get confused as to whether that's the right one or that's the old one. That's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. So we did not have any mossy meadow ribbon, but we did have this garden green, and we both thought it went just fine. But we did decide, well, okay, I'll tell you. He took a shortcut. He looked at me and he said, "Would you make me a bow, please?" Last week he made his own fork bow, but this week he was just not about it. He had a headache, so I'll forgive him. So the fork bow, for those of you who haven't seen it, this is just a simple serving fork that I grabbed from my kitchen, and it is now part of my Stampin' Studio. It doesn't go back up to the kitchen ever. It lives with my ribbon. So I am right-handed, so I tend to go at it this way. I hold the fork in my left. I go over, around, and you go on top of this ribbon you already had, and then underneath it. So over the river, through the woods, as my friend Jamie says. She's the one I learned this from. Now I'm still going to hold the fork in my left hand, but I've also got the tail end of this ribbon between my fingers, so it stays there. And then I'm just going to tug that down so it's kind of tight. We're going to bring it up and through that middle tine. Okay. Now on the back, we're just going to tie a knot. This is like the simplest way to make bows, and I love it because they turn out identical every single time. I'm just going to slip it off and cut your tail. And that's it. And the great thing about this is that because it's a knot back there, if you tug the bows or you tug the ends, it doesn't undo because it's literally tied in a knot. So there you go. Okay, so Russ is traveling this week, so I do not think he is online, but maybe he'll watch the replay, and we'll see. Penny says that's her favorite kind of shortcut. I think that's what Penny would probably have you do too. She would hand it to me and say, "Could you make my bow?" So it's good in a pinch. That's why I'm here, right? I'm here to help. Okay, so this ribbon, by the way, is part of a combo pack that has real red and garden green, and it is still available, even though it was from the holiday mini catalog. You can still get it. So some of those things are still around. So this one we are going to attach with a mini glue dot. And now I will tell you that I watched Russ with this, and he took the little pokey tool and pulled that, see that little glue dot right there? He pulled it off of there and put it on his cardstock. The way I always do my mini glue dots is I take the embellishment to it, kind of give it a press and a twist, and now it is on the back of my bow, and I can put it on there. Neither way is correct. Neither way is wrong. It's whatever you want to do. I also told him that if he wanted the tails to stay in a certain place, he could put a mini glue dot behind those too. So that's another little tip for you if you want, like if you wanted to like make them kind of go cool and, you know, curvy or something like this, you could always mini glue dot those in place. I'm fine with this just hanging out like it is. We're just going to give the ends a little trim on the angle. And there we go. That is that card. So seriously, guys, 2 cards in the time it usually takes me to do one. Now, I pre-die cut everything, pre-stamped some things, but I wanted to give you your money's worth. Wait, this is free. So I guess I did. So remember, celebration only until the end of February. Absolutely my favorite time of year because they always have fabulous things for free. The other little reminder I wanted to give you is that Paper Pumpkin sign-ups end tomorrow on the 10th. So if you want January's kit, which is 9 loved themed cards, make sure your subscription is active or make sure you sign up, paperpumpkin.com by tomorrow. Thank you, Joan. Thank you very much. Yes. So this was my card. This was my husband's card. He does a darn good job, let me tell you. So we are all good there. I'm trying to think if there was something else. I don't think so. Let me switch the view so I can talk to y'all a little bit. There we go. So yes, do remember if you have any questions about celebration, how you get free stuff, what kind of free stuff, what do you do with the shopping and the hosting and the joining and all the differences, I'm happy to explain it to you. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I will be featuring this paper all this week on Facebook and on Instagram. So you can check out the upcoming projects, check back daily for some new stuff coming up. Pretty happy with all of the cards this week. This might be my favorite week's worth of cards. And I will be honest, when I opened this pack of paper, even though I thought it was beautiful, I was like, what am I going to do with this? And then it turned out that they're like my favorites. So I hope they'll be your favorites too. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back again next Monday at 7 p.m. In the meantime, keep checking that Facebook page every day for new creative ideas. You're welcome, Joan. Thanks so much for joining us. And till then, I'm still Nan Gurlitz. Happy stamping.